Hey everyone, Hazz here. Today I'm going to be doing a different type of series. I'm doing a buff ideas series. Now first here we got Rhino. I'm going to be doing a couple others in the future, maybe Moon Knight and Green Goblin and a few others that I've come up with ideas already. But I just want to go ahead and start with Rhino because I think he's a really interesting character and I want to see him buffed as soon as possible. So going in here, first disclaimer is that these numbers are based on a 565 champion. That pretty much means that these are going to be scaled up on a 6-star rank 3, so like the attack rating and a couple other little benefits, but mainly it's just the attack rating that's going to go up a little bit. Most of the other things are going to stay the same. Maybe the crit damage will be decreased by a bit more, but and the physical resistance, but for the most part, like all the percentages that you see, they're going to remain the same no matter what rank or rarity your champion is. So going in here, his Rhino Skin, as mentioned, he has 2500 physical resistance. This is quite a lot of physical resistance. I think the only champ to have a little bit more might be Moleman at max monster mass charges, and even then he gets like, is it 3500 or 3700? I think it's quite a bit, but 2500 is definitely not bad at all. I think if you think about Yellow Jacket, he has, I think, about 1200 physical resistance, maybe a bit more than that, but you know, it is quite a lot of energy, physical resistance, so he's going to be able to deal with a lot of physical attacks. Going to be very tanky against a lot of champs, and most skill champs are physical based attacks. So if you're fighting class disadvantage, you're going to offset that a little bit with physical attacks. However, Mystic champions, even though you have class advantage, you know, most of them have energy attacks. So that's not as useful for them, but for most opponents do have physical attacks, so it's quite nice, just in general for damage. And this also applies to stuff like Rupture as well, because that deals physical damage, or most physical bursts of damage as well. Because it has minus 40% bleed potency. If you think about a rhinoceros's skin, it's quite thick, and it's quite durable and hard to cut through. So it gave him some bleed potency and bleed duration reduction as well. And it's just 40% bleed potency, so he can't really do biohazard or nodes like that, but he could potentially do Caltrop's path if you don't dash back too much. He can also run damage masteries pretty well as well, because he just has that negative reduction in potency and duration, so that's quite nice. As well as some other like nodes, like 100% bleed he can do as well with this buff, and he gets the minus duration as well, which is quite nice. So yeah, not too good, but still useful in some scenarios. Now we'll look at his main mechanic, which is his horn charges. This is gained whenever you intercept an opponent, and essentially these passively grant attack rating and combat power rate. So what this means is anytime you perform a horn dash attack, so you dash from far away, you will gain some attack rating on that attack and additional combat power rate per charge. So what you want to do with Rhino is you want to build up 5 of these by intercepting 5 times, and then you'll gain a lot of attack rating and combat power rate on those dash attacks. Now, he does gain some benefits, like at 3 charges he gets unstoppable dashes, and at 5 he gets unblockable dashes. So that means you can kind of, once you're at 3, you can kind of keep going and intercepting and getting, it's easier to get more. And then once you're at 5, you can kind of just break through their block. It's really great. But this doesn't apply to like just mediums. It has to be a dash from far away to have all these benefits. Now, if he throws a second medium after a dash attack, so again dashing from far away, he's going to place a disorient for 7 seconds, which reduces defensive ability accuracy and block efficiency by 50%, and max stacks of this is 2. So that means that if you throw 2 of these, you can get 100% reduced defensive ability accuracy on the opponent, which is quite nice in certain matchups, and also reduces their block efficiency as well, which is it's pretty useful, I guess. So yeah, that's really useful, but usually you don't want to throw double mediums with Rhino because that just ends your combo. You kind of want to go like medium, just first medium. Sometimes a few lights after that might be quite good, or you know, like a dash or like a heavy. So generally you won't be using this too much unless you actually want to reduce their block efficiency or defensive ability accuracy for some reason. There's some node or interaction that will benefit you to do so. Now look at his heavy attack. He's going to place an exhaustion, which will reduce the potency of power gain by 30% and lower crit damage by a little bit for 12 seconds. So this can stack to 3, and this means that if you use 3 heavy attacks, you're going to reduce power gain by 90%. That's really nice because even though it doesn't completely shut it off or reverse it, it means that he still has some way to significantly lower power gain effects. Because we know a lot of Mystic champions, they gain power for whatever reason. So, for example, Doom's power gain from a Sig ability, you have champs like Dragon Man. As well, you have some other characters that can generate power. You have champs like Hyperion from the Cosmic class. You have champs like Vision Arcus, again from Cosmic class, who can gain power pretty quickly. So this just helps reduce all power gain effects by up to 90% if you could stack 3 of them, which is not the hardest thing to do, but it's also sometimes pretty difficult to stack up to 3, and they do only last 12 seconds. So in a matchup where you're able to, you can spam heavy attacks, and then you can get quite a few exhaustions. You're up to 3, and then you get 90% reduced power gain. But in most matchups, I would say you're probably likely to get 2. So 60% is still a very good reduction. Moving on to what happens during special attacks. So if you trigger it after a long dash attack, then he gets the Rhino charge effects for the duration of the special. So essentially that means he's going to get the 550 attack rating, he's also going to get the unstoppable, and he's going to get the unblockable as well. So what you can do is if you have 5 charges, you just dash in, you're going to break their block and then throw a special, and then you get the extra attack. It's unblockable and unstoppable. So if your opponent somehow has an unstoppable buff themselves, or they manage to dex out after you hit them, then even if they go and hit you back, you're going to be unstoppable and unblockable. So after you finish your special, if they try and punish you, then you're pretty much just going to be unstoppable and you can dash back afterwards. But pretty much as soon as you finish the special, it'll go away. So you kind of have to time it to where if they immediately punish you, you might be able to dash away. But that's pretty nice to have. But the main thing is just the attack rating on specials. And then also, after any special, it removes all your Rhino charges. So you got to build them back up again. Which is not great, but it means that, it would be pretty overpowered if you had that constant 550 attack rating. Or it's rather 550 times 5, plus unstoppable and unblockable for pretty much the entire fight. So it's much more balanced if he just removes all the charges after a special. Special 1 will replace his heavy attack exhaustion. This is great for stun immune matchups where he can't necessarily act as a heavy attack as easily. That's quite nice. If they're cornered, you inflict agility, which will reduce their evadability accuracy. And this is also paused on any dashing horn attack or any special attack from either opponent, any special attack. So that means that if you keep throwing dash attacks, you'll keep pausing it, and then if they throw a special, you bait it, it'll be paused during that time as well. So you can keep up pretty good uptime on this. I would say you can pretty much keep it up for the whole fight if you just spam special ones and you're really aggressive. But that's a big if, because most of the time the opponent doesn't cooperate, or you're not able to throw special ones back to back, maybe because of damage masteries or some other reason. So but you can still keep it up for a good amount of the fight, and because of that passive unblockable as well, you're going to be able to, if they're being super passive, you can break through the block and then continue the cycle of pausing that agility. So he's going to be pretty good for evade if he gets some buff of this style, or if he was to get this buff, then he'd be pretty good at reducing evasion, coupled with the defensive ability accuracy as well. Looking at the special 2, this is his damage special. Like a lot of champions, he inflicts 150% of physical damage based on the damage dealt. So if you intercept, or if you use a dash attack, you gain the attack rating, throw a special 2, and then what this is going to do is it's going to deal just extra burst damage, and then also this is going to be increased more if the opponent's cornered. So you can get them into the wall, you can throw a dash attack, when it hits them you throw a special 2, deal a bunch of physical damage, which is really nice. Next thing we got is the special 3. It's going to apply an indefinite exhaustion debuff. So this is just a flat 60% power gain reduction. Just flat, which is really good because it means you can couple it with your heavy attack one, so you can actually reverse power gain pretty easily. That's nice. The second thing is his dashes are always unstoppable. This means that no matter what happens, no matter how many round of charges you lose or gain, he's always going to go unstoppable after this special, which is great for building up extra charges. It's great for longer fights where you don't have to think about building up charge, you just kind of intercept, and then if you get hit well, you're unstoppable, so you can kind of retaliate. That's nice. Sig ability is not needed, but it is quite nice to have. If I was to rank up Rhino with this buff, I would probably say he doesn't need it, but it makes him a lot more fun to play in my opinion. So he gains extra attack rating for each horn charge, so he already gains 550, so you can almost double it at max Sig, which is really nice for his damage. But even at Sig 1, it's 350, which is not bad at all. You know, that's like a pretty decent amount of attack rating. It's 900 attack per charge, which is quite a lot. So he doesn't need high Sig if you were to awaken him, but it's quite nice with the 6 stones to get a little bit more attack. But again, it's not needed. And also, this is really nice. This is not dependent on Sig level. You just get this at Sig 1. His attack and combat power rate effects from horn charges last 2 seconds after being triggered. So what that means is when you go to dash in, like we said before, like a far dash attack, you gain that extra combat power rate and attack. That's going to last for the entire combo as well. And so what that means is that you will essentially gain more power most of the time whenever you dash in. And so that's great for getting the specials faster, getting a bit more attack rating. So that's pretty much Rhino. That's all I've got for him for now. Let me know what you guys thought of this buff. Let me know if I should do some more. I've already made buffs for like Green Goblin, made one for Thanos. I've made one for Groot and Moon Knight and a couple others as well. So yeah, let me know if you guys like this. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.